Hey guys, my name is Nicholas and today we'll be creating and painting a dark and gloomy show base. So for about 2 months ago, I entered my first competition, which was called the Ever Chosen. I saw this as my first opportunity to actually create my own base, sculpting out of milliput. Before, I was a bit frightened from sculpting and basing, because when I saw a lot of videos and people sculpting out different kind of rocks and all that, I got a bit frightened and thought this is pretty complicated. But it isn't. When you first have tried it a couple of times, it's actually pretty easy. In this video I will be using milliput, where I will actually only be using a toothpick to sculpt and also a hobby knife to cut the milliput out to get the right shapes for this kind of look, which is a kind of, I would say, a rock kind of look, like it's on a cliff. So yeah, I really hope this video can inspire others to just give it a go and see where it takes you. So let's just get to it. Alright, so the first thing I did was that I bought this plinth at a local hobby store and I added 2 layers of cork sheets. I added these 2 layers because I wanted to illustrate stairs, and then I added milliput all the way around it. Furthermore, I added some plastic glue on top of the staircase areas and added a very thin layer of milliput. After the milliput was applied, I started carving in some staircases, just using a toothpick. You can use other instruments, other sharp instruments. This is what I had at the moment and it worked totally fine for me. I was now pretty happy with my staircases, and then I added this ruin. It's actually a 40k piece I found at my parents' house for, I think it's 14 years old. But I thought it would look pretty cool as a Age of Sigmar scenery. So I just applied some plastic glue and put it on. Furthermore, I decided to add some more milliput to put around the ruin. Just to give it a look like the ruin is a part of an old castle, or just a part of the rocks around the base. Now it was time to sculpt the whole base. I let this milliput dry for, I would say, 24 hours at least, just to make sure that it's totally hard, and then you can start carving in. I'm just using a hobby knife. Be very careful with these. I've cut my fingers a lot of times. But the point is just to start carving in some rock shapes into the milliput all the way around, as this will give some very sharp edges that could look like a rock or some stones. So yeah, just all the way around I carved in with this hobby knife. I then started adding in some texture paint on all the areas I wanted to look dirty or muddy. To spice it a little bit up, I also added some real dirt from just from the garden, and first of all I added some plastic glue to make it stick. But I think real dirt or real small stones work very well to give a great natural look. I then added some tufts that I had cut up just to make them a bit smaller. You could also do this step after the base coat of the whole base, but I wanted to paint them up in another color that they were when I bought them. So I just added a couple of these here and there. I then primed the whole base with a black primer, and then I started painting the stairs and also the ruin. I wanted to give a very dark and gloomy kind of look, so I started adding some darker blues and giving it more and more shading with some gray and greenish tones. I'll be adding the whole painting recipe for the staircase and the ruin down in the description. As this base was going to be used for my Lord of Blights, which of course is from Nurgle, I decided to add some more greenish tones to the blue ruin and also the stairs, so I thinned down some Warboss green and added that to the recesses. Now I started base coating all the areas I wanted to look like muddy or dirt, and I base coated them with dried bark. I then started painting all the rocks. I started with a very dark gray tone, and then I added more and more lighter gray tones towards the top of the rocks, and I also shaded underneath the rocks with adding some more black to the base, the dark gray base tone. I then started to paint the Tufts. I just base coated them dark green tone and adding more and more yellow towards the top. I decided that I wanted the rocks to stand more out, so I just dry brushed all the edges with ulthian gray, which is a very light gray. Furthermore, I dry brushed all the muddy areas with a karakstone, and afterwards I added some Agrax earthshade on all the same areas just to tone it a bit down. I then base coated the skulls with Zandri dust, adding some reikland fleshshade wash, and afterwards just adding more and more screaming skull to the Zandri dust to give it a more and more brighter tone towards the top. I then started adding in some pigments. The first pigment I added is a pigment called Dark Earth from AK Interactions. I thought this would look pretty good alongside with the other muddy areas, And then I also added another pigment called faded green. Afterwards I added some pigment fixer. This is a kind of liquid that makes the pigment sticks, because it's pretty much just some kind of dust. So you have to apply this if you want to make sure that it sticks. The last detail I wanted to add was these small leaves that I bought at a local hobby store. I just added some glue here and there and applied them where they naturally would be if there had been like a kind of storm or some wind. I really think that these leaves made the base very stand out, because it gives a kind of autumn kind of feeling, and that it's a very dark and gloomy area. And then it was done. So guys, now it's done. I really hope that you can use this video for starting your own sculpts and basing and whatever you will use it for. I had great fun doing this video, and I in general enjoy doing video tutorials, painting tutorials. So if you also like this video, remember to like and subscribe, because that's the only way that I can get motivated to continue this, would say YouTube journey, even though that's pretty big cliche. Yeah, I really hope that you like this video, and stay tuned for another painting or sculpting tutorial. Bye guys.